Right, well, welcome to the last, I hope, in this few series videos on adding Alexa in-skill purchasing code to your products. If you've looked at the other videos, you'll see that we've run an example of how the program's going to work. What you can do basically is you get some access to some free jokes, but you can buy an in-skill product one-time purchase in this case. The other example will show you how to create that product, broke down the code, a bit of a build from scratch. I wanted to do an ASK CLI version, mostly because there's no information I can find it on the internet about it, certainly not in Python anyway. So if you haven't looked at any of these, I suggest you start at the beginning again, and all these links are available here. I've got a GitHub repo where all this code is as well, so you can help yourself to any code there. So let's see, where are we? So yeah, I basically said really couldn't find any documentation. Some of them referred to the old CLI versions, or they were really confusing. It just implied that you had to set up a certain file structure and everything else. So basically, this is the easy way of doing it. And what we're going to do is we're going to use our CLI to create our product. We've seen that elsewhere in other videos, but I'll just briefly run through it here. Change the code, and we'll add the one-time purchase entitlement, but we'll use that using the developer console. So I'm going to use Visual Studio Coder, which is extremely useful, very good. And I've added the ASK extras onto that, so I can just type that in. So we'll just kick that off. So we've in a directory, we can just say ASK new, and we're just going to answer the questions. Most probably won't do that because it's going to take a few minutes. So we can see what it will do is we're going to have the language Python. We're going to use an AWS Lambda hosted. Going to use the Hello World template, give it some skill name and some folder name. So when that's done, we'll have a look at the files it's created and just see how well it's doing. No, it's still thinking. So we'll pause until that's all done. There we are, started now. Python, AWS Lambda, Hello World template. What did I call it? John's skill. And we'll do the rest, come back when it's all done. Okay, so that's created the skill. It was called John's quiz. So this creates all the files we need. In fact, so if we look now, we should see in this, it's created this folder called John's quiz and added all these programs, files we need. So the most important ones are obviously our Lambda, is our Hello World Py, the requirements, which we'll modify a bit later on, and somewhere else, skill.json here, and one of these I can never remember where it is, the en-US.json there it is, with that, with the invocations and utterances and so on. Okay, so what I always do at this stage is I always deploy my skill. What this will do is it will upload it to the Alexa Amazon Fire code computers, and we can see it on our development console. So if I do ask deploy, and that always takes a while too. So again, I'll stop the video. And the mistake, I always forget to change into the directory, into the right directory, and try again. That looks better. So if you get that message, you're just in the wrong directory. Well, that seemed to take longer than normal still. Okay. So deployed our skill. This is what we get, and eventually you get skill deploy enabled successfully. Okay, now we can go to the developer console. This is what it was. If I refresh my developer console, you'll see that it should appear here. And we've got this now one that's called John's Quiz. So what I always do at this stage is I just check everything's working. And one of the first things I always do is to just check the skill invocation name. Sometimes this says change me, sometimes it's the name of the program you gave, and sometimes in this case it's hello world. And we can just test this just to make sure that the upload's working. I shan't bother with that now, although I've just clicked the test button. So, yeah, one of the things you might want to do is when you're there, you might want to keep your skill ID. So you might want to save that or just go back and get that and test the skill as I've said. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to create the in-skill purchase. We'll do this in the developer console rather than try doing this using the ASK CLI, which looked to be pretty complicated when I looked at it. And this is by far the easiest way. We've seen this covered in the other videos, so briefly we're going to go build. I'll do it here anyway. Where are we? So we want this. Let's go back to build. Seems very sluggish today. And we're going to go models. Monetize your skill. Add an in-skill product. Next. And here we've got a list of the products that are linked to the skill. We've got none, obviously, at the moment, and some that are available to link. So this is some I've created somewhere else. In this case, we're going to create an in-skill product. We're going to give it a name. Oh, I think I called it More Jokes. It's a one-time purchase, and we'll create the product. We'll look at, maybe I'll do a video on looking at subscription and consumables as well. If you're worried about testing this and wondering how we're going to pay for things and test it, you don't have to worry about that because you can test your code and reset the number of times you've purchased it without actually purchasing anything. So first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to copy this product ID. I'll need that later. And add a supported language. So if we add a new language, I'll add English US. Now we're going to fill in this form, which we've done elsewhere. So I'll just briefly pause the video while I do all that. Right, so I've filled in the form. Again, there's display name, one sentence description, detailed description, a small icon, which I've just used, some I've uploaded, but you can use this icon, Alexa skill icon builder, to select some icons for you and upload or download them and upload them. And I've added a purchase prompt description and a purchase confirmation description. So if you look at this Alexa skill icon builder, you just get a list of loads of little icons that you can select, and you can change the background color and so on. So you can do all manner of things there. So it's very, very useful. Okay, so I've got that. We'll save that. And we need to add some products. 99 cents or 99p is the cheapest you can use. Select a tax category. Don't really bother about that. Test me. You'll have to be more rigorous if you're going to put this through proper publication. So we'll save that. So that's our one-time purchase done. And we'll link it to the skill. So again, I cover that in our documentation here. And now what we want to do is we want to add the skill code. Now this is the same code that we've used in the previous videos, but I'll just run through it briefly. What I'll do is I'll do it first of all, and then I'll just show you what we've done. So again, I'll pause the video and come back to you. Okay, so what I've needed to do is I've changed the requirements.txt to pull in the ASD core and the ASK SDK, and I'll show you those. That's here, so that's been changed to that. The second thing I did was I've added the intent, so I've checked the invocation name in the en-US.json, so that is there. So I've just changed that line there, and I've added the joke code, and I've changed the hello world pie code as well. So here's the joke code, some jokes here. These are the free jokes you get, and these are the extra paid jokes you can get. It's not worth buying. And added the hello world pie. So I've copied all of that from either the code in this document, or we can see the code in the GitHub that I've got here in this Alexa ISP. So I've also added that here, the requirement.txt is here, the en-US.json is here, and the lambda function is here, and the joke file is there. So it's all there available for you. And what else do I need to do? Oh, I've changed the product ID in the two lines of code as well. So in here, at line 89, I know they shouldn't be hard coded, and here at 163. So I've done that. You can also use the skill management API command to see that the skill is linked. I'll come back and I'll do that in a bit. So that's why we needed the skill ID for this. So the launch request calls the get monetization service, which indicates if the product or skill is purchasable and if it's already been purchased by the current user. If the user already paid for extra jokes, it's stored in a session attribute and is also mentioned in the response. If he hasn't bought anything, you get a prompt saying you can buy more jokes. You should have seen that if you've seen the example before. If you want to know any more about how the Alexa service bits work, then there's a reference here. Okay, so now we can go ahead, deploy and test the program. So we'll do that. This might take a bit of time because it's now got to pull in the new requirements from the requirements.test. So I'll halt the video. You don't need to be hanging around like I do. And we finally got there. Just before we leave, I'll just show you this skills management API. This gets the ISP list for the skill. So I've added my skill ID that I copied earlier on. There's obviously two stages to your program. You'll be in development or live. So we're in development stage still. So we can, if we do that, we should get a list back of the ISPs available. That's obviously our entitlement that we've just done for that skill ID. And there it is. So we can see it's editable, it's called more jokes. We've seen the prices here, the US prices here, and so on, the product ID, purchasable, and so on. So that's there. Okay. So, we're nearly there, are we? Well, let's go and try it then. We'll go back to the developer console, go to test. My system seems very slow today.